fellow YouTubers, you have failed this city.
Guys, so I'm back to review Arrow Season 2. That's right. And I can't stress this enough whenever I review a TV season. I am going to say spoiler alert from the previous season because, shit happens and there has to be consequences, right? So if you have not seen Arrow Season 1, go watch it. It's available on Netflix. And then come back and watch my review for Arrow Season 2 after you've watched Season 1 and Season 2. So let's talk about Arrow Season 2. Alright, first of all, I want to give a big round of applause to the writers of this show for having the balls to not have Season 1 end on a happy note at all whatsoever. Season 1 did not have a happy ending, and Season 2 has the consequences of that. When this season picks up, we see Oliver's back on Lian-Yu. He left after Tommy's death, and Diggle and Felicity have to come drag him back to Starling City, make him put on the hood again, be the vigilante. But he says, alright, but if we're going to do this, we're going to do this differently. I'm not going to be crossing names off the list anymore. I have to honor Tommy's memory. I have to stop murdering people because all he saw me as was a murderer. So I can't be murdering people. It's time for me to actually save the city. So that's basically the overall plot of where we see Oliver in Season 2. But now we have Sebastian Blood, who is trying to save the city his way, and his way may not be the best way. But meanwhile, on the island, yes, I'm going to talk about the island flashbacks. Meanwhile, on the island, Slade, Shadow, and Oliver have gotten closer. And I didn't talk about Slade in the first season review because he didn't come in until the second half of the season. I felt maybe that might be a spoiler of him coming in. Yeah, that whole thing is cool. And then, of course, you got to have an island villain as well. Fires was the villain in the island flashbacks in Season 1. Season 2, we have Dr. Anthony Ivo. And Fires was okay as a villain. I didn't hate him, but he was definitely probably one of the weaker things about Season 1, in my opinion. But Dr. Ivo, my God, he's an awesome villain. And speaking of awesome villains, let's talk about Deathstroke. Yeah, that's right, Slade Wilson, Deathstroke, Manu Bennett, perfect fucking casting. My God, this is one of my only exceptions of me wanting people from the TV series to be in the DC movies as well. Can you imagine Manu Bennett's Deathstroke going up against Ben Affleck's Batman? Just imagine that for a minute. Yeah, how awesome would that be? But other than that, I do like the fact that the shows are separate from the movies. But yeah, that would be my only exception to cross them over is, Manu Bennett. My God. Yeah, Deathstroke is one of my top 5 favorite comic book villains. Definitely my top 5 favorite DC villains. So yeah, I'm a massive Deathstroke fan. And Manu Bennett is perfection in this role. He really, really, really got into it. You could tell. And he's having fun. And shit, if I was playing Deathstroke, I'd be having fun too because this whole season is Deathstroke is a badass. So yeah, I'd love it. Let's see, what else can we talk about? Roy Harper. Roy is another character who came in the second half of Season 1. And I gotta, he lives in the Glades and he wants to, be the vigilante. He wants to be the next vigilante. And Oliver and the Hood both tell him, because he's not going by the vigilante in this season, or the Hood. But he tells him, not to go down that path. He doesn't want to do that. But of course, Roy's stubborn and he's from the Glades and he doesn't want to listen. Let's talk about Roy Harper for a minute. Colton Haynes is Roy Harper. I don't have a problem with his performance. I don't have a problem with his acting. It's just, I hate the Roy character. I do. There's something about Roy that I can't stand in the first 2 seasons of Arrow. It's just, every time Roy comes up on screen, I'm like, oh, come on. This fucking guy again? This little punk kid? So, yeah. Don't really care for Roy. But there's a new vigilante in town, a woman vigilante who is in all black with blonde hair, and comic fans might recognize her as the Black Canary, or in this show she's just called the Canary. I'm not going to spoil it in case you don't know who it is, But that whole thing was pretty cool. It's a great little mystery to kind of have for a while. And then once you figure out who it is and stuff like that, it's still awesome. She still kicks ass, but yeah. Let's talk about Lance. And Lance in the first season was all about, I'm going to get this guy. I'm not going to do a Lance impression, but he's like, I'm going to get this guy, Laurel. And, but every once in a while he was helping out. And this season, I really do like where Lance is at this season. And again, I'm not going to spoil it for you. Sebastian Blood. Sebastian Blood is just he's an okay villain. He's not bad. He's not terrible. I don't hate him. It's just, I guess, if they cut Sebastian Blood out of this whole season, it would have been fine with me. Because to me, the true badass of the season is Deathstroke, Slade Wilson. So yeah. Let's see, what else can we talk about without kind of giving much away? Laurel. Let's talk about Laurel. Laurel, like I said, Katie Cassidy, don't have a problem with her performance. I liked Laurel in Season 1 quite a bit. Season 2, it seems like the writers didn't know where to go with her. They didn't. Because one minute she hates the Arrow, and then she's on the Arrow side, and then she's back to hating the Arrow, and she's developing this addiction issues and whatnot, and it's like, I understand you're going through a hard time because of the whole Tommy thing, but come on. I mean, that's going a little too extreme, in my opinion. Don't like really what they did with Laurel in this season. And then the hints of Oliver and Felicity together. I love Felicity and I love Oliver, but the thought of them together I don't like. I'm sorry, Felicity fans. I don't like the thought of Oliver and Felicity together. Not personally. I don't. But luckily there are only subtle hints in this season of what could be coming. So it's not that big of a deal. It's just a minor nitpicky thing. Moira Queen. Let's talk about Moira. Moira is in prison for a good chunk of the season, I would say, and because she's dealing with the consequences of what she did in the first season. And I do have to talk about Malcolm Merlyn. Malcolm Merlyn, aka the Dark Archer, spoiler again from Season 1, Malcolm Merlyn comes back, and I assumed that Oliver, the first time I watched the show, the first time I checked out the first season, I assumed that Oliver killed Malcolm Merlyn at the end of Season 1. But even though when he goes to tell Tom, he's like, did you kill him? He's like, no. I always assumed he just said that to make him feel better. Because he was dying. And then, in Season 2, I'm like, oh, wait, Merlin's still alive? Okay. But that was the first time I saw it. The second time I saw it, I just finished rewatching Season 1. You can tell, okay, Oliver didn't actually, it didn't seem like Malcolm Merlyn died anyway. That whole issue was fixed for me because, like I said, rewatching it helped a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess he didn't kill Malcolm Merlyn. But yeah, Malcolm Merlyn comes back in the season, and man, does he have a secret. And that secret, it's a big secret, so I'm not going to spoil it. But man, that was kind of unexpected. I'm like, oh, whoa, okay. So I guess that's that. So yeah, I love John Barrowman as Malcolm Merlyn. He's one of my favorite characters on the show for sure, followed by, Deathstroke is number 1. And then I would go Lance, and then Malcolm Merlyn. Those would be my top 3 characters on the show. And I was going to say number 4, but that might be a spoiler for this particular season. So, but yeah, I do love Malcolm Merlyn. What they did with him in this season, I thought was really, really solid. He was a really great bad guy in the first season. Season 2, when he reveals that big secret, I'm like, yeah, it's shocking, and it's great. Arrow Season 2, they really upped the ante on both the island flashbacks and the modern day. They outdid themselves. They did. They topped themselves from Season 1. I love Season 1. I gave Season 1 a solid A. But man, I'll be a fool not to give Arrow Season 2 an A+, a high A+ at that, because man, they really did it. I love Arrow Season 2. Better than Season 1. Like I said, don't hate Season 1. I just love Arrow Season 2. Well, what do you guys think of Arrow Season 2? Comment your thoughts on the show down in the comment section below. Like the video, share, and subscribe. Just do it!